When it comes to the iPhone 5S, things are going to be pretty similar. We know when the S comes out, it's going to be a very incremental upgrade. So we're going to see the same size chassis, perhaps a bump in the screen size, CPU, GPU, maybe the battery will be a little bit larger. But really, for all intents and purposes, things are going to look very similar, and Apple's going to be really just reselling the 5 with a little bit of an upgrade to it.
In terms of the design and build of the iPhone, I don't think we're going to see anything particularly dramatic. We think it's going to be the same chassis as the iPhone 5. What we might see is some different colours, and that's kind of interesting because for a lot of people, it actually makes quite a big difference. It allows them to individualise their phone, make it look more interesting. They can have, maybe champagne, which is kind of a goldy colour, gunmetal, bit grey, rather than just the black and white options. It allows them to be a little bit freer in their choice, and I think that does make a difference to people.
When it comes to the specs on the iPhone 5S, we think things will once again be quite incremental. So the CPU will probably be about 30% faster. I doubt it will be quad-core because Apple doesn't believe in that. It wants to preserve battery and preserve the feel of the system. So really what you'll get is a slightly faster operation when you have it under the finger. The camera might load faster, but really it won't be a quantum leap forward that the likes of Samsung and HTC have delivered in the past.
One of the things we are expecting to see some change on is the camera. So every single time Apple have updated their phone, they've tended to make the camera a little bit better. And it's pretty good on the iPhone 5, but I think we are going to see a bit of an evolution for whatever comes next. So a lot of the big Android competitors have made a real point of saying that they take better photos. A lot of the Nokia range, for instance, are making a real point of saying that their camera is amazing. So I think Apple will be mindful of that. They want their phone to be a competitor, and that means being a good camera as well.
The fingerprint scanner on the iPhone 5S is by no means confirmed. It's still very much in its rumour stage, but if Apple were to bring this feature to its next handset, it would be really interesting. We've seen Android push the envelope with unlocking recently. There's face unlock, there's pins, there's patterns, and while some are gimmicky and others useful, there's nothing that's really wowed us. Fingerprint scanning, though, that's a whole new level for mobile phones, and it would be something which is a gimmick maybe, but also very secure. If Apple really do hide the technology behind the home button as well, that would be a lovely feature and would really show the innovation is back at Apple.
In terms of surprises, we're thinking Apple might roll in a fingerprint scanner into the iPhone 5S. This will sit where the home button is now, but replace the physical button itself. And it'll be in a way of accessing our phones. Obviously, it'll detect your fingerprint, so if someone else is trying to use your phone and you've got the fingerprint security enabled, they won't be able to. But this isn't definite. It's all from leaks and trademarks, so for all we know, the physical home button could live to see another day. We're currently expecting Apple to announce the iPhone 5S on September the 10th, and going back on previous iPhones, we'd expect it to roll out into the market about 2 weeks after that. And we'd also expect it to be a global release, so it'll be hitting retail all around the world in the last week of September.
Well, if you want the very best, go for the 5S as long as you can afford it. It will be Apple's flagship phone for the next year, and it will have all the latest innovation from the company in it. If you can't quite stretch that far, then the 5C is still going to be a good device. Apple always makes quality products, so don't let the lower price tag put you off.
Apple is in a smartphone war right now, but there's a worry that the iPhone 5S may not be enough to topple the Galaxy S4, which is selling really well worldwide. What Samsung's done is it's taken some headline features. It's got a full HD screen, a quad-core processor, 2GB of RAM. And while a lot of consumers might not actually know what this means, they know they want to future-proof and get the best device they can. And so these headline specs really help to sell the phone. Apple is probably going to go once again with an aluminium design, sleek, a smaller screen, and not have that quad-core processor that admittedly isn't needed, but will get consumers' hearts racing when they're in this phone shop thinking about what they're going to get next. So there's a real worry that with the iPhone 5S, it will sell well enough, but it won't be enough to keep Apple's momentum going in the future.